Most people do not wake up one day and suddenly discover their purpose. They wake up feeling tired, restless, slightly disconnected from their own life. They do what they are supposed to do. They follow the map. They collect approval. They chase stability. They build an identity that looks acceptable from the outside. And still something inside them keeps whispering that this cannot be it. That whisper is terrifying because it does not just question your job, your goals, or your habits. It questions the entire structure of the world around you. What if the life you have been trying to build was designed to keep you distracted, not fulfilled? What if this world rewards performance more than truth? What if the reason so many people feel lost is not because they are broken, but because they are trying to find a real purpose inside a system built on imitation? And what if the scariest part is this? The fake world does not always look fake. It looks normal. It looks successful. It looks exactly like the life everyone told you to want. That is why finding your true purpose feels almost impossible now. Not because purpose is rare, but because noise is everywhere. You are surrounded by identities for sale, lifestyles for sale, opinions for sale. Even emotions are packaged and performed. People do not just show who they are anymore. They manage perception. They curate a self. They learn what gets attention, what gets validation, what looks meaningful, and then they shape themselves around it. After a while, the line between who they are and who they perform becomes so blurred that even they cannot tell the difference. And when you live in a world like that for too long, you start doing the same thing without even noticing. You stop asking what feels true. You start asking what looks right. Psychology has always known something uncomfortable about human beings. We are deeply social creatures, but that strength comes with a dangerous weakness. We do not only learn from other people, we borrow our value from them. We compare, we imitate, we conform, we let the crowd tell us what matters. Solomon Asch proved long ago that people will deny what their own eyes can clearly see just to avoid standing apart from the group. That experiment was about lines on a card. But look at life now. Careers, relationships, beliefs, success, beauty, ambition. Entire lives are being built on the same psychological pressure. Not because people are stupid, because people are terrified of isolation. Sometimes it feels safer to live a false life with social approval than a real life with uncertainty. A man in his 30s once described this feeling in a way that stayed with me. From the outside, he had everything that should have made him feel complete. A respected job, a good income, a family proud of him, friends who called him disciplined and driven. But every Sunday night, he felt this quiet sickness in his chest. Not panic, not depression exactly. More like grief without a funeral. He could not explain it. Nothing was obviously wrong. But the truth was brutal. He had built a life that was psychologically rewarded, not spiritually alive. He had mistaken external structure for inner meaning. He was functioning perfectly in a life that did not belong to him. That is the first psychological trap of the fake world. It teaches you to confuse achievement with alignment. Those are not the same thing. You can be highly successful in the wrong life. You can be admired for a self that is slowly suffocating you. You can win the game and still feel empty, because his emptiness is often what remains when your soul has been working for goals it never chose. Purpose is not the same as status. It is not the same as visibility. It is not even the same as talent. Purpose sits much deeper than that. It usually lives in the strange intersection between what moves you, what wounds you, what you cannot stop noticing, and what kind of suffering you are willing to carry. That last part matters more than people think. Everyone wants purpose to feel inspiring, noble, clean. But purpose is often heavy. It asks things from you. It costs comfort. It demands honesty. And honesty is expensive in a fake world. Because the moment you start becoming real, your old identities begin to die. And the human mind does not enjoy that process. Identity is a psychological shelter. Even a false identity can feel safer than the unknown. This is why so many people stay trapped in roles they have outgrown. The overachiever, the peacemaker, the rebel, the caretaker, the perfect child, the rational one, the attractive one, the productive one. These roles may have once helped you survive, but survival is not the same as purpose. A mask can protect you, it cannot reveal you. Carl Jung warned about this in his own way. He spoke of the persona, the social mask we create to function in the world. The persona is not evil, it is necessary. But when a person becomes fused with that mask, they lose contact with the deeper self underneath it. Then life becomes a performance with no witness. A person may seem whole from the outside while feeling internally abandoned. They smile, speak, succeed, and adapt, yet secretly feel like an actor in a role that never ends. That inner split is one of the hidden epidemics of modern life. A young woman once spent years building an online identity around inspiration, discipline, and self-mastery. Her page looked beautiful. Her words sounded wise. Thousands admired her, but privately she felt numb. She confessed that she no longer knew whether she actually loved the life she was showing, or whether she loved the reaction it created in other people. That is one of the darkest psychological distortions of the fake world. It does not just pressure you to lie to others, it slowly seduces you into lying to yourself. And the more rewarded the lie becomes, the harder it is to let go of it. So how do you find your true purpose in a world like this? Not by asking what is popular, not by asking what pays the most, not even by asking what you are naturally good at. Those questions can be useful, but they can also be traps. A better question is far more unsettling. What part of you keeps surviving every distraction? What truth keeps returning after every phase, every trend, every relationship, every reinvention? Because purpose often reveals itself through recurrence. It is the pattern that does not leave you alone. Maybe it is the way injustice always catches your attention. Maybe it is how you are drawn to healing broken people, creating beauty from chaos, teaching what others overlook, protecting what is fragile, building what does not yet exist, or speaking truths most people are too afraid to say. Your purpose may not arrive as a lightning bolt. It may arrive as a persistent ache, a strange loyalty to something invisible, an inner pull that refuses to disappear even when the world gives you easier options. But here is where psychology becomes even more uncomfortable. Many people are not disconnected from purpose because they have not found it. They are disconnected because purpose threatens the false contracts their life is built upon. If your purpose is real, then some of your relationships may have to change. Some ambitions may have to die. Some versions of success may start looking hollow. Some people may stop understanding you. This is why purpose is not only a discovery, it is also a loss. There was a teacher who left a prestigious corporate path after years of chasing the image of success her family had worshipped. On paper, it looked irrational. Less money, less prestige, less certainty. But when she spoke about teaching, something in her face changed. The numbness was gone. She was tired, yes, sometimes overwhelmed, but no longer divided. That difference matters. A hard life aligned with your truth often feels lighter than an easy life built on self-betrayal. The fake world hates that kind of decision. It cannot easily measure it. It cannot always monetize it. It cannot always show it off. And because of that, people may project their fear onto you. They may call you unrealistic, dramatic, lost, selfish, unstable. But often what they are really reacting to is your refusal to keep participating in a shared illusion. Your honesty becomes offensive to people who depend on performance for their identity. That is another truth about purpose. It isolates before it clarifies. At first, it may feel like confusion, like losing interest in things that used to motivate you, like no longer fitting in rooms where you once felt safe, like grieving a version of yourself that others still expect you to be. This is not always a sign that you are failing. Sometimes it is a sign that the false self is losing control. Psychologically, this period feels dangerous because the brain prefers certainty over authenticity. Even painful certainty can feel more manageable than liberating uncertainty. That is why people cling to routines that deaden them, why they stay in relationships that shrink them, why they defend beliefs that no longer feel true. The known prison can feel safer than the unknown field, but purpose rarely lives inside the prison. It waits outside, where your old maps stop working. And still there is a mistake people make here. They imagine purpose as one grand mission, one perfect answer, one final identity. That idea can become its own form of paralysis. Real purpose is often less glamorous and more alive than that. It is not always a title. Sometimes it is a direction, a way of being, a pattern of contribution, a relationship between your inner truth and the outer world. It evolves as you evolve. It sharpens as you become more honest. The question is not always, what was I meant to do forever? Sometimes the question is, what is life asking from the most truthful version of me now? That question brings you back to something deeper than ambition. Presence, attention, courage. Because purpose is often hidden beneath the life you perform. To reach it, you have to notice where your energy becomes real, where time changes shape, where your pain becomes insight instead of bitterness, where your curiosity feels sacred instead of convenient, where your effort, even when exhausting, feels strangely clean. A man who spent years trying to impress people with intelligence realized that the moments he felt most alive were not when he was admired, but when someone told him quietly that his words made them feel less alone. That changed everything. He stopped trying to look profound. He started trying to be useful. In that shift, his purpose became clearer. Not because he found some magical answer, because he stopped chasing an image and started listening to the places where reality responded to who he actually was. That may be the clearest sign of real purpose. It creates coherence. Your inner world and outer actions begin to stop fighting each other. You feel more integrated, not always happier, not always calmer, but less fragmented, less fake, less haunted by the feeling that your life belongs to somebody else. And maybe that is the deeper reason purpose matters. Not because it turns you into someone extraordinary, but because it returns you to yourself in a world determined to sell you replacements. A fake world survives by keeping people externally stimulated and internally disconnected. It needs you distracted, comparing, consuming, performing, chasing. Because a person who knows why they are here becomes much harder to manipulate, harder to shame, harder to seduce with empty success. They may still suffer, they may still doubt themselves, but they stop being available for every illusion. So if you feel lost, do not assume you are broken. Maybe you are simply waking up. Maybe your emptiness is not a defect. Maybe it is intelligence. Maybe it is the mind's rebellion against a life that looks acceptable but feels unreal. And maybe your purpose is not hiding from you at all. Maybe it has been knocking for years through your dissatisfaction, your envy, your grief, your longing, your repeated fascination with things you were taught to ignore. The real question is whether you are willing to hear it. Because once you hear it, you will not be able to unhear it. You will start seeing the fake patterns more clearly, the borrowed goals, the rehearsed identities, the hollow victories, and then you will have a choice. Keep performing a life that earns approval, or begin the slower, more frightening work of building one that feels true. In the end, your true purpose may not make you look more impressive to the world. It may do something far more important. It may make you real. And in a world built on appearances, that is one of the most radical things a human being can become. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. Until next time.